Hello, I reckon the YouTube notification things haven't gone out properly for this stream because it's been on for over a minute and you're the first person to come in. Now I normally have like 30 people saying hello at once. So you're actually the first person on, apparently. So I hope I don't have to stop and start the stream again to see if it works or if the notifications are just totally broken on YouTube as usual. Let's see if there's an option for me to actually send out a notification for the stream. Can't actually share it directly to YouTube, which seems to be a bit of the problem, but this is very strange because normally I'd get loads of people in. Hello. That says 4 people now, so maybe it's just YouTube's really slow at putting out the actual notifications. But yeah, it's strange because normally you get like 30 to 40 people on within a minute or so, and everybody all saying hello at once. I've not changed any stream options, so let's just double check those in case there's something weird on there that's doing it. Yep, that's strange. All the stream options are set up completely as normal. Oh yeah, it is an audio stream because, as I said, these are actually much better for me to do than regular streams. Simply because it's better to do. I can reply to comments much more easily if I don't have to keep checking a webcam, and then you don't get all the stupid comments I get every stream where people are saying, can you get the gun down in the background, can you get the gun down in the background. So basically for that reason. It seems people, I guess, are getting the notifications now for it if everybody's coming on. Go back to the live dashboard. It says 8 watching. This is very odd though, because normally, as I said, no matter what time of day I do it, I get loads of people instantly jump in, but I know loads of people complain that YouTube's broken for notifications now anyway, so... No idea. If it's a ballistic knife, then I'm pretty sure they are illegal in the UK, but they've pushed through that new legislation today, so we're going to have to see what happens with that. Well, they've, you know, put it to Parliament or whatever for all the knife bans, you know, because apparently knives make people kill people, not people being criminals. Yeah, and it's just jumped up to 14 people, so I think that the actual notifications are just like really delayed or something for this stream. Hello. Yeah, this is odd. Stream health is all showing up as stream is healthy, stream health is excellent. Yeah, that's very strange. Because, as I was saying, it's just a bit weird that normally if I start a stream, there's people all shouting over each other straight away, and this one it's very slowly. Don't send me tweets because I never check them. How recently did you send it? I can have a quick look, but yeah. I think I've pretty much said this quite a lot, that Twitter's just automatically connected to my account. So I can basically, it's not a direct message. Let me check the notifications. No, I've not received anything. I can check it again, but there's a... spring-assisted knives are totally banned, but maybe there's more rules coming in on them. I'm not actually totally sure, because some of the stuff that was illegal to buy and sell, but you could legally own it, is now getting made illegal to own. And I don't think there's even a way of getting rid of it, which is a really stupid thing. So it's like saying, well, this item that you've got stuck in your house that was illegal at one point, that's now illegal to own. Yep, there's no image of a weird mask I've been sent in the last few days. So, however you've sent that, I've not received it. I don't watch any football, so I couldn't give a shit about FIFA. My favourite helmet I currently have is the Mark 7. Out of all the helmets, I really like the Soviet titanium, like Spetsnaz helmets. I know there's a couple of variants of those, but you know, they're the ones that actually give you the most physical head protection. No, I haven't seen that video, but I don't watch the news, so you know, I wouldn't normally see stuff like that. Well, they're changing the rules on it again because they want to ban more stuff. But it used to be that you could have a shotgun on a shotgun license or firearms on a firearm license, and firearms could be 22 LR or 22 long rifle in sort of semi-automatics, and every other caliber had to be like bolt action or like manual action. You can have semi-automatics, but I don't think there used to be a limit on mag capacity either. So in theory you could have something with a massive magazine as long as it was bolt action, if it wasn't in 22 long rifle. Yeah, if you send me a direct message on Twitter I can check that quickly, but yeah, I've not received anything according to that, and as I said, I don't normally check Twitter because I just have it linked to my account so it automatically spreads videos, because I've seen on there there's like 20 or 30 people who've tried to contact me about stuff and said that's not what I use Twitter for, so... Yeah, that's the right types, you mean like the outing. Yeah, I've heard some have like number names. Oh. The problem is with this, like, you can see somebody replying to somebody else's comment. Never looked up the New Zealand gun laws. Well, in theory, yeah, I think you can get a few years in prison for carrying a knife. I think it might be 3 or 4 years in prison. But the stupid thing is, obviously there's not actually police on the streets anymore. So, you know, you could go around with a massive knife on you. It's very unlikely, unless somebody spotted you with it and then called the police and the police bothered to turn up, that they'd ever actually know. I'm surprised they could even get the armed police out, because that's probably half the country's armed police force, isn't it? 6 of them. It depends what country you're in, but if you're in the UK and you tried to import a spring-assisted knife, you'd probably get both arrested and fined. No, sadly I haven't been to America. I'd love to go though. You can't legally carry those things, but you can own them. No, when I got the M1 mask, I literally just got the M1 mask. When I got the M2, that came with a couple of things in the bag, but the M1 literally just came in a mask. Surprising that they're not heavy, but I suppose titanium isn't all that heavy, isn't it? It's lighter than steel titanium. But yeah, that's the thing I was saying, it's a bit worrying with the new knife laws, is they're obviously pushing through a lot of changes, but it's very poorly defined as usual to give the police as much power as possible. Yeah, because people keep asking me, can you do videos on pepper spray and stuff like that? I was like, well, no, because it's totally illegal in the UK. In the UK, pepper spray is actually classed as a firearm, and you'll get done on a firearms offence, I think, which is 10 years in prison if you're caught carrying pepper spray. Which is, you know, really stupid, because pepper spray is mostly defensive. I know you could attack people by spraying them with pepper spray, but, you know, you get done for that, so... Again, it's kind of stupid that, no, you can't have anything for self-defense. Yeah, I've got a tactical pen. I had somebody trying to tell me that a tactical pen's illegal, but they're not. There's no laws against them at the moment. And I use that just for writing, obviously, and as an emergency glass breaker. Because you have to state, because it's the UK and it's a police state, that you don't actually have any self-defense items on you for the purpose of self-defense. They're always for something else. Yeah, I have an MP5 mask. There's videos on it. Well, the thing is, I've already got the M1, which isn't a particularly high quality mask, as I think I've gone over. The MC1 is the version without even the oral nasal cup in it, so it's even inferior in quality. And yeah, most of the time when I've seen them on eBay, they've not had any accessories with them, because the sellers sell those separately, so I'm not going to pay absolutely loads and loads of money for that. The M2 is much better than the M1, as I've already covered quite a lot of times. Yeah, you can have a Swiss Army knife. Swiss Army knives are a bit weird because they fall into the weird bit where basically with the actual Swiss Army knives, because they're a non-locking blade under 3 inches in a folding knife, they're basically totally legal unless they think you're doing something bad with it. And this is the problem with a lot of the UK laws, is it's police discretion. So if a policeman doesn't like you, they can get you done for it, even if you're not actually doing anything that's illegal. Well, the interesting thing with a lot of those titanium helmets is I have actually seen, you know, videos where people have shot at them with AKs and things from fairly close range, and they've done a surprisingly good job. Again, that's probably because they're not taking totally direct impacts. They're probably glancing, like you said. But, you know, compared to lots of Kevlar helmets, they do seem much better. Cool. The only thing is, like I was saying with the stream earlier, is a lot of people apparently weren't getting notifications for it because it took several minutes before I even had actual, you know, a load of people in the stream. And apologies if you can hear the computer fan in the background, because basically where I've got the microphone set up, it's going to be doing it, and I had to remove the cover from it the other day because that started to rip. Yeah, but I don't actually believe that you could have a visor like that would be level 3A, because polycarbonate doesn't stop pistol rounds, and as far as I'm aware, they're polycarbonate visors. Well, I'm not actually talking about anything illegal, Richard, but I'm not going to be some basically coward who says, oh, the UK is fine, we're not turning into a police state. Where was I anyway? So to getting rust off an air rifle, use, get a silicone, do you know what silicone cloths are? You can get like silicone polishing cloths. And that's cool. I haven't actually seen that new Polish camera, let me Google it. Just literally get them on eBay with the NBC suits. Oh yeah, that's I have seen a picture of that camo before. Yeah, that's really cool looking. I don't know how well it would work, but I imagine it'd be ages before it becomes affordable to buy as surplus. But it does look like a really interesting pattern. It looks kind of like a cross between leaves and kind of just a weird blurry effect. But yeah, that's quite an interesting camo. It's very strange to look at, isn't it? But I think it would do its job. You mean the M50 is not actually American, it's made by Avon Rubber. It's just America's the only country that I think's bought it for military use. Again, it seems good, it's a better version of a GSR basically, but because I'm not spending several £100 on a mask, I'm not going to get an M50. If it's a rare mask, then yeah, that's a shit thing to do. It's like, I think we've had this conversation before, it's like the people who buy rare firearms and break them. If it's a really common firearm that's mass produced, I don't see the harm in it, but when it's rare. Well, it will protect you from dust, but it will probably also give you asbestosis, so it's probably best not to use EO14s and EO16s. Because some of them are confirmed to have asbestos, others are suspect. I have a copy of the K-bar, which is mediocre, and I have what's called an Israeli commando knife. It's not actually Israeli. Made by Sheffield Steel, which is basically a Bowie knife, which is kind of like a K-bar as well, and that's pretty good. I like that. I've actually got a few other kind of really cheap big knives like that. No, machetes are perfectly legal because they're a gardening tool. Again, this is the silly thing. Oh, gangs of people are hacking each other with machetes, but what we should ban is zombie knives. You know, not saying that we should ban machetes because that would be stupid, but the point is, you know, that it's again ignoring what's actually going on with politicians just completely ignoring problems. I'll have a look at the New Zealand camo, I've not seen it. There's one coming up that looks like blurry fleck tarn. That looks a bit washed out and crap to me, in my honest opinion. Just because it looks so washed out, it's not going to work as camo. But then there's some other pictures coming up of different camos, so I'm not sure which one it would be. But if it's the fleck tarn type one, I wouldn't really think that would be good. I mean, maybe it would work, but it just looks like blurry fleck tarn that's really grey on one, so it seems to have the same problem that ACU has, where people in the background are just glowing in the dark. Or UCP even. ACU, UCP, you know what I mean. Yeah, but we're slowly turning into a police state, Jack, that's the thing. And the more control they can get over us, the better. I'm not going to buy Spyderco knives because they're just stupidly overpriced, and as I've said, because I'm in the UK where at any point it could be deemed illegal for me to have that knife, I don't want to spend loads of money on a knife, then have it seized and be thrown in prison because, oh, we decided to change the law all of a sudden. I don't know why, because other people have direct messaged me on Twitter. Oh, I have an RPK deactivated, which is similar to an AK, but it's obviously not an AK because it's a longer barrel version. But... a police state is in kind of like a dictatorship, where, you know, police have more power than they should. I think it would have been a slightly higher, yeah, but it's got the heavier barrel. The problem with the RPK was it wasn't brilliant as an actual machine gun, because, you know, you'd burn the barrel out too quickly. As you've asked me this before, and as I've said, I don't have a plasmatic lighter, so I don't know why you're asking me. Well, the thing is, you can't, because if you're carrying them on you and you walk into a police station with you, they are going to do you. You are literally fucked, how the law works in this country. There's places like D&B Militaria, you can just buy them online, and then they post them to you with the deactivation certificate. I mean, sometimes they do amnesties, but a lot of the time it's basically like, wow, you've got something that's illegal to own now, where it was previously legal. Yeah, that's the thing, Richard. That's why I said I'm not going to shut up about it, because, you know, this is the thing. I think it's got to the point where if you shut up, you're kind of compliant, where they're taking away more and more liberties, and if you basically toe the line at this point, you're going to, you know, you're kind of letting them do it. Yeah, I obviously live in England. There's no such thing as an Avon S12. Do you mean the Avon CT12 or FM12 or the S10? Because the thing is, you'll notice as well, a lot of the laws they're passing in this country, they don't evenly apply them either. So it's basically, if the government chooses it doesn't like somebody, they'll, you know, prosecute them with the full force of the law, but they'll let a lot of other people get away with it. Cheers, Jack. I said nobody actually has to, maybe. Well, the M2000 looks quite interesting, but I don't have one because, as I said, yeah, we've known about the Stalker 2 for a couple of weeks because that's when they announced it, and we've spoken about it a lot on here. Well, I can't shoot either because I'm in the UK, but 308 because it's 7.62 NATO. You know, it's one of those really standardised rounds. I mean, the thing is, with Stalker 2, it could actually very easily end up being, you know, not being released. Again, like before. Suppressors aren't actually illegal in the UK because lots of people use them on shotguns. We don't actually know. What's basically happened is Scott got bought out by 3M, essentially, you know, not being Scott anymore, although they still technically exist as a company, they're just part of 3M. 3M wouldn't honour part of the contract with the British government as far as what I could read into it, like, because they had, like, service and repairs done on the GSRs and everything else. So, what's happened is that the GSRs, you know, need repairing and they needed more models coming in. 3M's not going to oblige that, so they've had to pay Avon to sort the mess out, but we don't really know how that's going to work at this point. Does it mean that, you know, Avon is going to retrofit the GSRs, or are they just going to start selling them M50s? L1A1 by definite. G3 is kind of not a brilliant battle rifle. There's lots of videos on Forgotten Weapons and other channels where they explain the FAL was a better platform than the G3. The G3 was simply made because Germany would not be given a license to build FALs. It was originally to set me anyway, the G3. Cool, let me have a quick look on Twitter then if you've just redone it, and then I'll see if it comes up. Yeah, I've got that one. That looks like... is that the Hallie Henson mask? Let me... I think that's what it's called. If not, I think it might be a US one. No, it's not the Hallie Henson. It looks similar to the Hallie Henson, but it's not the Hallie Henson. Is there anything written on the filters that you can make out? That I have a feeling... Oh wait, it says it's something Mark 4 or Mark 5, it says at the top. I'm pretty sure that's a US Navy mask. Let me just look on gas masking, because they have quite a few American masks on their archive. It's a US ND Mark 5 mask. To answer your question. 3M do actually do lots of good masks, John Doe. It's not just dust masks they do. Yeah, the GSR looks cool. The problem is it's just a really low quality in terms of all the components. Right, okay, the credit card knives, they're not currently illegal to buy, but if you have it in your wallet or something and the police catch you, they can do you for concealing a blade, and then give you several years in prison for it. So again, it's the law not being evenly applied. Or you're free to buy it, and in theory you can carry it, but if we find you with it, wow, we're going to say you're trying to hide a blade on yourself. I've got the Mark 7 helmet from eBay. It wasn't a seller with more than one in it, it was just a guy who had one Mark 7. Hello. Australia is worse than the UK in some ways and not in others. It's a bit odd, but I do know in some states in Australia you're not even allowed Kevlar. Like, you can't even have purely defensive items. I've been streaming only for about half an hour and it didn't give notifications to a load of people, so yeah, that was a bit crap. For some reason it took absolutely ages for, you know, people to get in. Yeah, as I was saying, Tree Man, the problem is a lot of it is basically a police state. It's where stuff is technically legal, but if they want to arrest you for it and put you in prison for it, they can do. And like, the thing is, as much as this I'm not encouraging anyone to commit crimes, but if it gets to the stage where you honestly can't do anything without committing crimes, that's going to be at the stage when the police won't be able to deal with it anymore, because everybody's just going to say, fuck it, I'm going to just carry whatever I want on me and stuff like that. Only if the mask you have has like polycarbonate lenses and stuff like that. I've said a few times about that. To be honest, they did nearly ban airsoft here at one point, and then they just didn't because they realised they'd lose money from VAT of people not buying the guns. Yeah, it might be the Victoria image I've seen with the one where it says body armour is illegal. I think it's the place where you can't even buy like wood axes and machetes without like contacting the police first. Right, cool. What gas mask do you have, Laura? With most NBC suits, if you're too tall, you're kind of screwed because they don't really make the masks that big. Not the mask, sorry, the suits that big. Because I've known people who are like 6'4" and they just can't get a suit to fit them because most countries just do a universal size NBC suit. There might be some countries that do large, but I just get regular sizes, and because I'm under 6 foot, they fit me fine. UCP camo is the least effective camo probably by a mile, but there's a lot that are quite similar to that where they're just too grey. I know some of those were designed for urban use, but the problem was they just issued them everywhere. Yeah, like I said, there might be some countries that do NBC suits for people taller than 6 foot, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them basically just do a universal sized NBC suit. When you say practice pens, do you mean atropine syringes? No, I don't, and I would never use atropine just because you're likely to kill yourself with it if you don't know what you're doing. It's like the whole rebreather thing. If you're not trained to do it, don't fuck about with it because you're just going to get yourself killed. Have you heard the Cunt and the Gang song? Semtic memes for £1 million. That's probably a good idea. But I don't think I'd cut my balls off with a rusty saw. I don't think I'd do that. Belgian Jigsaw's a great camo, unless they've changed it again. I mean, I know they've changed it again, but still. No, I don't own a butterfly knife, and if I did, I wouldn't say I did, because in the UK they're on the illegal list. They're another thing that's been changed from previously legal to own, but not buy and sell, to illegal to own, and now you can't get rid of them. Well, rebreathers actually do have lots of proper uses, like diving uses and like areas of no oxygen. They're lightweight compared to oxygen tank things as well. That's one of the Flectarn works surprisingly well. Strictarn works surprisingly well. No, balisongs or butterfly knives were on the illegal list for a while. Now they're on the totally verboten illegal list of, if you own it, you're yeah, but I think that thing, Nathan, was a big trolling thread. I don't think anybody really did that. I think it was somebody saying, like, oh, I've got a rebreather, I'm going to go diving. Yeah, I'm going to go diving. I mean, that guy was either so stupid that, yeah, he's won his Darwin Award, congratulations to him, but I think it was somebody trying to trigger people, you know, by constantly saying, oh, yeah, well, fuck what your advice, I'm going to use my rebreather. Yeah, I got my car sold, that's all good. Like I said, within an hour of listing it, somebody bought it. Then they came the next day and paid me the money, no, you know, like no problems, were just very eager to buy it. So yeah, that was good. Yeah, exactly. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. When you say stick-tard, you mean strict-tarn. USA, easily USA, because, you know, firearms and First and Second Amendment, right to free speech, right to self-defense. As long as you live in a state where you've actually got, like, you know, all of the stand your ground laws, not the ones where it's like, oh, you have to run away. If you're getting attacked, you have to run away. Not, I don't know which state, but I mean, I kind of like New England just for the fact the climate would be quite similar to actual England. As much as I like the South, I don't think I could put up with the climate. But it would have to be, you know, one of the states with the not cucked laws, basically. Oh yeah, there's loads of horrifying ways you can drown underwater and other things that can go wrong. If you've ever, I think I've brought this up before, but look up cave diving. If you ever want to see something horrifying, look up cave diving and all the people that manage to kill themselves doing that. Yeah, Tree Man, I've explained that before. I live with my parents because where I live in the UK, a one-bedroom house would be over 300 grand. So I can't afford to move out. I could not afford to even rent, because at the moment where I live, renting is more expensive than the minimum wage for like the shittest place possible. My only option on moving out would be moving out with a load of friends to somewhere totally different in the country, and nobody wants to do that. Oak trees, because, or maybe a yew tree, because, you know, longbows. They can do, it's totally down to pressure. I've seen people diving with them in videos under 7 meters who have been fine, but there's lots of people who do really deep sea rebreather diving as well, because you can't use, obviously, oxygen tanks past a certain depth as well. I think it really depends on the quality of it and everything, and again, if you're using dodgy old Soviet surplus, is it likely to work properly? And I would not trust my life on diving. Not really into cars. You know, just because I can't afford to be in cars, to be honest. Well, the filters that can't be replaced manually are the type that are on the masks themselves, like, you know, permanently attached. Most modern masks have replaceable filters. I might get some different camo items. I'd quite like to get some more bayonets, actually. Especially because it's going to get harder and harder to order stuff like that in the UK. Yeah, GP5M's fine, but it's not as good as the SHMS. No, they've only got atropine and similar stuff to that, which has lots of side effects. Basically, you have to be given something really quickly, and then you have to hope you recover. I think I've already been asked to Stalker one before, and it would be a loner, because that's the proper way of playing Stalker. Basically, because Scott Rubber, or Scott Safety, no longer really exists as a company, the GSR can't be serviced. Which means the British government had to go crying to Avon to tell them to fix the mess. Of course I've heard of Chernobyl. Yeah, arsat Danny every stream. I'm medically unfit to serve. With more than one thing, actually. Oh, actually, interesting, on the new legislation they've put through, there's a bit of it that says if you have a butter knife with no blade and no point, that would still be considered a bladed article, and they can still throw the book at you for carrying a butter knife. So if you're going to be buttering your toast, you might as well do it with a bayonet at this point, because why not? I spent nearly 100 on my GSR, but I bought them, you know, as soon as you could buy them when they fell off some sort of MOD truck. Yeah, we used to have an old British civilian duty mask at our school, and or not civilian duty, just regular civilian mask, and I was like, you do know that contains asbestos, to the teacher, and they're like, oh really? I thought it was fun to let the kids wear it. I don't think Freedom are really anarcho-capitalists, though, are they? They come across more like anarcho-communists. I think they're... oh, it's weird, because they've made knuckle dusters completely illegal when they pass through this thing, so then I guess they wouldn't be. No, I did sixth form for a year, hated it, and got a job. But yeah, I reckon with like a lot of how these laws are changing, if it gets to the point where everything becomes illegal, then everybody's just going to become a criminal. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But again, they're going to totally fail at it, because it's like when they were saying about, oh, we'll make knives without points on them. All you need to do is get some wire cutters and then you can crimp a point onto the knife. Don't think trench knives are banned in the US, are they? I mean, I don't see why trench knives are any worse than other kinds of knives. I mean, you can stab somebody to death with any knife, even a kitchen knife. This is the sort of whole point. That, yeah, a bayonet or whatever would be better at it, but if you're dead, you're dead. It doesn't really make a difference. Well, it's also that, and it's the fact that, you know, they don't actually have police really on the streets anymore, because that would cost money. So what we actually need to do instead is use the money for bribing, like the DUP, so the Tories can stay in power, and other, you know, stuff like that. So that's where your tax-paying money actually goes to, really crooked shit like that. And yeah, there's no actual police, and then the police they do have to monitor Twitter and whatever else and arrest people for hate crimes, not actually for committing real crimes. But then you're not also allowed to defend yourself either, so what are you actually going to do about it? Well, GP5 filters were good in the day they were made, but they're not good now because they contain asbestos. You can have gas-powered airsoft grenades, yeah, but you can't really do much with them, can you? Other than throwing them around in an airsoft match. I know anarcho-communism doesn't work, but it's an ideology. Just because it's, you know, it's a stupid ideology, but it exists. Only time I ever see cops is when I'm driving around and they're trying to do a speed trap where the speed limit suddenly changed to make revenue. I don't ever see police on the streets anymore. And I actually live quite close to a big police station, so that says something. No, I don't have an SKS. Yeah, I've got a bench grinder as well. I've got an assault bench grinder. But yeah, I don't think you'd even need a bench grinder. That's the point if you're just trying to put a point on something like a butter knife. Because you just literally can use wire cutters or bolt cutters and just, you know, like make a V or a diamond tip doing that. You know, and that would... No, I've not got any Yashkas. I know a lot of people like them, but I don't actually have them. So there's no actual reason for that. It's just I've never bought one because I've got other cold sort of gear headwear. Well, any gas mask with a working filter can protect you from nerve agents, assuming you've got an NBC suit as well. Yeah, they closed a load of the smaller police stations near me, and now they just have one big one. And even then, with one of the big police stations in my area, I think we only have 2 cops for like a 30-mile radius or something. So, like, the village I live, a load of the other villages, even one village which is really big, you know, to the size of actually being a town, there's 2 cops for, like, you know, maybe 20,000-30,000 worth of people. But the thing is, where it says you can't conceal it, I take it you can carry it regardless. So if you had a massive, like, Bowie knife or Bowie knife, you could actually have it in a sheath if it was openly on your belt. You just couldn't conceal it. Well, they already do probably make homemade firearms, and they can also do homemade ammo as well. All chemical weapons are considered war crimes, unless you're a police force using CS gas on civilians, then that's not a war crime, even though it's banned for military use. Unless it's a military police action, then they're allowed to do that as well, despite the fact that CS, if it burns, releases cyanide gas. The methylene chloride they sometimes use to distribute CS as well. If that boils, it makes phosgene. And, you know, CS is also fatal if you have asthma and lots of other things, because it can just cause, you know, like breathing difficulties to the point of death. If you want to see what tear gas does if it's actually used against civilians, you know, like just pumped into it, look at the Waco siege, where they murdered everyone in the building by pumping in CS gas until it caught fire. No, I've been already asked this stream if I've been to the USA, and I've said no. Yeah, CS itself is actually a powder, but you can turn it into a gas if it's diluted in methylene chloride, or dissolved in methylene chloride, which is like a liquid, or that's, well, at least a vapor. But you can also burn CS to make CS smoke, basically. So yeah, the name CS gas is a bit deceptive, but the point is, you know, when you say CS gas, everybody knows what you're on about. Alright, Peach, I'm not going to be streaming for much longer though. I'm probably going to be on for another 5 minutes because my hay fever's been playing up today. And I've only just got in from volunteering, so obviously want to have a break. Yeah, gas masks can protect you from mustard gas, assuming, like all of these gases, the chemical warfare gases, yes, gas masks can protect you from them because that's their job. The only thing is with mustard gas and Lewis-site is if you have a silicon mask, it will break apart pretty quickly. It's some bollocks hands about, like, oh, the knife can be opened with one hand or whatever else. Waco siege, W-A-C-O, Waco. If you look up the Waco siege, do not watch the US government propaganda versions of it, which is basically where they said, well, these people were cultists and burned themselves alive. How funny. Our brave officers did nothing wrong. Waco Rules of Engagement's a very good documentary on it. The book, This Is Not an Assault, is also a very good, you know, like, account of it. But basically, Waco was where there was kind of a slightly crazy religious cult that weren't harming anybody. the ATF decided to make a scapegoat out of them to try and do, you know, an Operation Nimrod-style siege to make themselves look cool and relevant so they could get more government funding. They fucked it up, getting a load of their agents killed and killing a load of people in the building. The siege happened, and then the FBI got tired of waiting. So, despite the fact there was like 20 or 30 children in the building, they pumped loads and loads of CS gas into the building. So much CS gas, they actually ran out their own stock and had to get a load more CS gas supplied to them. And the fact you're only meant to use CS in open ground, you know, they pumped it into a building. And what ended up happening is lots of people died of cyanide poisoning, and the building caught fire and burnt down because CS is flammable. And then, oh, it's not our fault, we didn't do anything wrong. It's also where you can see them driving tanks into American civilians. I'm going to have to hide your commentary, man. Don't do that again, because if you do that again, I'll have to block you. I know you can do stuff like that, but don't start talking about stuff like that, because lots of people get done for even reading that in the chat. Yeah, the Davidians, David Koresh was the leader. I mean, Koresh was a bit of a scumbag, to be honest. Can you prove he was doing that, though, Hans? Can you prove it? Because they never proved that. And the thing is, you're innocent until proven guilty. And as I said, I think the guy's a bit of a scumbag. But if there's a guy raping kids, do you burn the kids alive? Is that how we're actually going to respond to that? Because you don't kill children to save children. Yep, there's the Fleur footage where there's the guys coming out of the Bradleys and machine gunning the people trying to run away. And then they're like, oh no, that's glass reflecting back light. We didn't do anything. No, I've done a video on that, Rolly. The homemade gas masks really don't... No, there were tanks and APCs. They had the combat engineering vehicles and the Abrams at the front, and they had about 10 Bradleys. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Waco is, like I said, I'm not going to defend David Koresh, but the thing is, like, the whole thing with Waco is, the ATF was also doing the raid, wasn't it? Because apparently he was a paedophile, despite the fact the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms has no jurisdiction to do that, because their whole thing is alcohol, tobacco and firearms. Yeah, Delta was signed onto the siege. It's in some of the classified documents that have been released about it. I think they called it Special Operations Group, didn't they? To say, oh, it wasn't Delta, it was Special Operations Group. Officially, they were only there as observers. But, you know, they probably weren't. I wouldn't say it was wise to buy the GSR at all. All GSRs can use 40mm filters, but you have to take the thing off the side, which can damage the mask. I haven't played Wargame in ages. I haven't been to Russia. I've been to Finland and I've looked at the border with Russia, but that's as far as I've come to Russia. As in, you know, Delta Force, US Special Forces, like the US version of the SAS. Is the M2F the one with the voice diaphragm? Because that's probably better. I have the M2, but I suppose the M2F is better. Unless it's like the Finnish M61 V3's voice diaphragm, then it's not that great because of how it's designed. I mean, it's probably okay as long as you don't take the front cover off. Yeah, I might go to the former Yugoslav countries at some point. Yeah, I played Black Ops. It's one of the last few good COD games, in my opinion. Cool. Anyway, like I said, I'm probably going to finish the stream about now. It's not been quite an hour, but as I said, I didn't have all that long to do a stream today. I might try and do one on Sunday if I've got time, but I can't guarantee it. He was telling people how to make pepper spray, and I said because that's classed as a firearm in the UK, and I know I'm on a watch list for some of the stuff I've said. He's basically saying stuff that can get people arrested for even reading it in the UK, because in the UK you can get arrested for reading stuff, even if it's just as you can get arrested for watching certain YouTube videos in the UK. So yeah, that's why, even though yeah, it's like you could technically do something like that. It's like we don't talk about it in these streams just because it gives them the excuse to come after people. I'm sure people who are that way inclined can find the information out anyway. I've definitely been on a watch list because I've said to them about how that whole fucking Novichok thing was completely fake. You know, all the people who miraculously recovered from the world's deadliest nerve agent. Anyway, like I said, anyway, yeah, UK is a very difficult place is one way of putting it. FM12 has polycarbonate lenses, so that's fairly good. If you go on my channel and look at my oldest video, that will tell you how long I've been doing YouTube. Well, I don't like drinking tubes and gas masks anyway, so as long as the mask still makes an airtight seal, it's probably not a bad MP5. Right, anyway, see everybody.